Life presents us with two choices every single day: to shrink back in the face of fear or to move forward and face it head on. In 2025, I challenge you to choose courage, to confront every fear standing in your way, and to unlock the limitless potential that lies beyond it. Fear is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It exists not to paralyze you, but to propel you toward the life you are meant to live. Fear, often seen as a barrier, is a profound opportunity for growth. It is not a force designed to paralyze or limit us, but rather a signal calling us to expand beyond our current boundaries. When we understand fear as a teacher rather than an adversary, it transforms from a crippling emotion into a powerful catalyst for personal development. At its core, fear is an innate response designed to protect us from harm. It alerts us to potential danger, whether physical, emotional, or psychological. However, in the modern world, where threats to survival are less immediate, fear often arises in the context of challenges, uncertainty, and the unfamiliar. This kind of fear, while uncomfortable, is not a warning of imminent doom. It's an invitation to evolve. It highlights areas where we're holding back and offers a chance to grow into a stronger, more capable version of ourselves. The first step to harnessing fear as an opportunity for growth is recognizing its presence without judgment. Fear is not an indication of weakness, it is a natural human experience. Everyone encounters fear, whether it's fear of failure, rejection, change, or the unknown. By acknowledging fear, we take away its power to control us from the shadows. When we say, "I am afraid," we shine a light on the emotion, making it less daunting and more manageable. Understanding the root of our fear is crucial in transforming it into growth. Fear often stems from uncertainty or a perceived lack of control. For example, fear of failure may be rooted in a deep desire for success and a concern about our ability to achieve it. By examining the source of our fear, we can uncover what truly matters to us. Fear reveals our deepest values and aspirations, acting as a compass that points us toward what is meaningful in our lives. Rather than avoiding fear, we should explore it to understand the underlying truths it holds. Taking action is the most effective way to transform fear into growth. Fear thrives in inaction and avoidance, growing larger and more intimidating the longer we wait. The moment we take a step toward what scares us, we begin to diminish its power. Action builds confidence, even if the steps are small. Each time we face a fear head-on, we expand our comfort zone and reinforce the belief that we are capable of handling challenges. This is the essence of growth, pushing past perceived limitations and discovering strength we didn't know we had. Fear also teaches us resilience. Growth is rarely a smooth, linear process. It involves setbacks, uncertainty, and discomfort. Fear is an integral part of this process because it forces us to confront our vulnerabilities. In doing so, we develop the resilience to persevere through difficult times. Each time we face a fear and emerge stronger, we build the mental and emotional fortitude to tackle greater challenges in the future. This resilience not only helps us overcome fear, but also prepares us to thrive in other areas of life. One of the most powerful aspects of fear is its ability to foster self-awareness. When we reflect on what we fear and why, we gain insights into our beliefs, insecurities, and values. Fear is a mirror that reveals the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we can achieve. By examining these stories, we can challenge limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering narratives. This shift in perspective allows us to approach fear with curiosity rather than dread, turning into a tool for self-discovery. Embracing fear as an opportunity for growth also opens the door to creativity and innovation. Fear often arises when we step into the unknown, a space where there are no guarantees. While this can be intimidating, it is also where the greatest breakthroughs occur. When we push past fear, we tap into our creative potential, finding new solutions, ideas, and perspectives. Knowledge of limitations is revolutionary. Number one, knowledge is not power. Wariness. Knowledge is not power. This is particularly true in areas like career advancement, personal relationships, and self-exploitation, where fear often blocks us from taking risks that could lead to transformative outcomes. Ultimately, fear is not something to be eliminated, but something to be navigated. It is a lifelong companion on the journey of growth and transformation. When we learn to embrace fear, we stop seeing it as an obstacle and start viewing it as a guide. Every moment of fear is an opportunity to step closer to our full potential, to stretch beyond what we thought possible, and to uncover the strength within ourselves. In conclusion, fear is an invaluable teacher and an essential part of growth. It challenges us to confront our limitations, take bold actions, and discover our resilience. By embracing fear rather than avoiding it, we unlock the opportunity to evolve into the best version of ourselves. So the next time fear arises, welcome it as a sign that you are on the brink of transformation. Step forward with courage and let fear guide you to new heights of growth and possibility. Courage begins with acknowledgement. It is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it with honesty and resolve. Acknowledgement is the first and most critical step toward cultivating true bravery. It is the moment we stop running, stop masking, and instead turn to face what challenges us with an open heart and clear eyes. In this act of recognition, we find the seeds of transformation and strength. Fear often disguises itself in many forms: doubt, procrastination, excuses, or even anger. Yet beneath these layers lies the undeniable truth. Fear exists because we care deeply about something. Whether it's fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown, it reflects areas of our lives that hold significance. Acknowledging fear is not a sign of weakness, it is a powerful act of self-awareness. It requires us to pause and look inward, to name the emotions stirring within us, and to accept them without judgment. Acknowledgement allows us to strip fear of its power. Often what we avoid grows larger in our minds. The more we deny or suppress fear, the more it lurks in the shadows, shaping our decisions and limiting our potential. By bringing fear into the light, we diminish its ability to control us. When we say, "I am afraid," we reclaim our authority over it. Naming our fear is like opening a locked door. It gives us access to understanding and solutions. Acknowledgement is also a gateway to authenticity. When we admit our fears to ourselves and others, we embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a source of profound strength. It allows us to be real, to show up as we are, and to connect with others on a deeper level. In acknowledging fear, we create space for courage to emerge. Courage doesn't require us to have all the answers or to be fearless. It asks us to take the first step despite uncertainty. This process begins with self-compassion. Too often we judge ourselves harshly for feeling afraid. We equate fear with failure or inadequacy, forgetting that fear is a universal human experience. Acknowledging fear with kindness reminds us that we are not alone. It allows us to treat ourselves with the same understanding and patience we would offer a loved one. Self-compassion creates the foundation for courage to grow, as it replaces self-criticism with encouragement and hope. Acknowledgement also requires us to confront the stories we tell ourselves about fear. These stories often stem from past experiences, societal expectations, or limiting beliefs. For example, we might believe that failing means we are unworthy, or that taking a risk will inevitably lead to loss. When we acknowledge our fears, we have the opportunity to examine these narratives and challenge their validity. We can ask ourselves, is this fear based on fact or assumption? What evidence do I have to support or refute it? This inquiry helps us separate fear from reality, allowing us to make decisions rooted in truth rather than anxiety. Once we have acknowledged fear, we can begin to take deliberate action. Courage is not an abstract concept, it is a practice. It is found in the small, consistent steps we take toward our goals, even when fear is present. Each action reinforces the belief that we are capable of overcoming challenges. The first step might be as simple as writing down a goal, sharing a vulnerability with a trusted friend, or exploring new opportunities with curiosity. Every act of courage builds momentum, creating a ripple effect that leads to growth and transformation. Acknowledging fear also opens the door to support. When we admit our fears to others, we invite connection and understanding. We realize that we do not have to face challenges alone, whether it's seeking advice, sharing experiences, or leaning on a mentor. Support strengthens our ability to move forward. Courage thrives in community, where we can draw inspiration and strength from those who have faced similar fears and triumph. Moreover, acknowledgement shifts our relationship with fear from adversarial to collaborative. Instead of seeing fear as an enemy to be conquered, we can view it as a guide. Fear often points us toward areas where growth and opportunity await. It reveals what matters most to us and challenges us to rise to the occasion. When we acknowledge fear with curiosity, we unlock its potential to teach us valuable lessons about ourselves and the world. In the end, courage is not about erasing fear. It is about moving forward despite it. And that journey begins with acknowledgement, the willingness to face our fears honestly and without judgment. This act of recognition is a declaration of self-trust, a commitment to growth, and a testament to the strength within us all. As we acknowledge our fears, we take the first step toward transformation, discovering that courage was within us all along, waiting to be awakened. Action dissolves fear. It is the antidote to the paralysis that fear often brings. Fear thrives in inaction, in the space where we overthink, doubt, and imagine worst-case scenarios. It grows in the shadows of hesitation, feeding off the stories we tell ourselves about why we cannot move forward. But the moment we take action, even the smallest step, we disrupt fear's hold and create momentum. Action is a powerful force that transforms uncertainty into clarity, anxiety into confidence, and fear into courage. Belief doesn't exist. It doesn't exist until you believe and until you have. Fear often feels overwhelming because it is tied to the unknown. We fear what we cannot predict, what we cannot control. This uncertainty breeds hesitation, and in our minds, the fear becomes larger than it truly is. Action breaks this cycle. When we act, we confront the unknown and begin to demystify it. Each step reveals more of the path ahead, allowing us to replace speculation with experience. As we move forward, we realize that the fear we felt was often exaggerated, a product of our imagination rather than reality. The key to dissolving fear through action is to start small. Fear thrives on the perception that a task or challenge is too big to handle. But when we break it down into manageable steps, we reduce its power. Instead of focusing on the entire mountain we need to climb, we focus on the first foothold. It could be as simple as making a phone call, writing down a plan, or taking one step outside our comfort zone. These small actions compound over time, building confidence and reducing fear. Action also shifts our focus from what could go wrong to what we can control. Fear is often rooted in a fixation on potential negative outcomes. We imagine failure, rejection, or pain, and these thoughts consume us. But when we act, our attention shifts to the present moment and the task at hand. We engage with reality rather than our fears, and in doing so, we take back control. Action reminds us that we are not powerless. We have the ability to influence our circumstances and create change. Moreover, action builds confidence. Confidence is not something we are born with. It is something we cultivate through experience. Every time we take a step forward, despite fear, we prove to ourselves that we are capable. This creates a positive feedback loop. Action leads to success, which builds confidence, which makes future actions easier. Even when our actions do not lead to immediate success, the mere act of trying teaches us resilience and strengthens our belief in our ability to persevere. One of the most significant ways action dissolves fear is by reframing failure. Fear often stems from a fear of failure, the belief that making a mistake or falling short is something to avoid at all costs. But action teaches us that failure is not the end. It is a stepping stone. Each action, whether it succeeds or not, provides valuable lessons and moves us closer to our goals. When we take consistent action, we begin to see failure not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. Action also fosters adaptability. Fear often arises from the belief that we need to have everything figured out before we begin. We hesitate because we want certainty, a guarantee of success. But action teaches us that we don't need all the answers to start. As we move forward, we learn, adjust, and grow. The path becomes clearer with each step, and we develop the skills and knowledge we need along the way. This adaptability reduces fear as we realize that we can handle challenges as they arise. Taking action also inspires others. Fear is not unique to any one person. It is a universal experience. When we take courageous action, we show others that it is possible to move forward despite fear. Our actions create a ripple effect, encouraging those around us to confront their own fears. This shared sense of bravery and resilience strengthens communities and fosters a culture of growth and empowerment. Finally, action reminds us of our agency. Fear often makes us feel small and powerless, as though we are at the mercy of external circumstances. But when we act, we reclaim our power. We assert that we are not defined by our fears, but by our willingness to rise above them. Each step forward is a declaration of self-trust and determination, a statement that we are capable of shaping our own lives. In conclusion, action is the great dissolver of fear. It transforms paralysis into progress and doubt into confidence. By taking even the smallest steps, we disrupt fear's hold and create momentum. Action shifts our focus to the present, reframes failure as growth, and fosters adaptability. It builds confidence, inspires others, and reminds us of our power to create change. So when fear threatens to hold you back, remember this. The solution is not to wait for the fear to disappear, but to take action despite it. In doing so, you will discover that fear is not as powerful as it seems, and you are far stronger than you realize. Fear often feels like an enemy, an obstacle standing between you and the life you want. But what if fear wasn't your foe? What if fear was a guide pointing you toward your deepest desires? Fear reflects what matters most to you. It highlights what you value, what you yearn for, and what lies just beyond your comfort zone. Rather than running from fear, understanding its role can unlock the path to personal growth and fulfillment. Think about the things that scare you the most. Public speaking, starting a new career, pursuing a relationship, or sharing your creative work with the world. These fears are not random. They exist because they touch on something important to you, your self-expression, your purpose, your love, or your sense of achievement. If it didn't matter, it wouldn't evoke such strong emotions. Fear arises because you care deeply, and in that caring lies the clue to what you desire. Fear is a mirror, reflecting the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It shows you the challenges you must face to grow, the risk you must take to pursue what you want. It's not there to stop you. It's there to sharpen your focus. The presence of fear doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. In fact, it often signals you're on the right one. The areas of your life that provoke fear are often the areas where transformation and fulfillment await. Understanding fear as a reflection of your desires can help reframe your relationship with it. Instead of seeing fear as a barrier, see it as a map. When fear arises, ask yourself, what is this fear protecting? What am I afraid of losing, failing at, or missing out on? In those answers, you'll find your aspirations. Fear of public failure, for example, could point to a deep desire to succeed or make an impact. Fear of rejection might reveal a longing for connection or belonging. When you dig deeper, you realize that fear is not about avoiding something, it's about striving for something meaningful. Scottish leaders who live by the three principles of kindness, compassion, courage, and justice. Acknowledging fear also opens a door to vulnerability, which is key to unlocking your desires. To admit that you are afraid is to admit that you care. It's a sign of your humanity and your willingness to stretch beyond the confines of what feels safe. Vulnerability can be uncomfortable, but it's where growth happens. When you face your fears with honesty, you start to see them for what they are, signals of opportunities for deeper alignment with your true self. Fear, when harnessed, becomes a motivator. It sharpens your instincts and propels you to prepare, strategize, and act with intention. Athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs often speak of using fear as fuel. The fear of failure or falling short pushes them to practice harder, refine their skills, or step outside their comfort zones. They don't let fear paralyze them. Instead, they channel it into their pursuit of excellence. Best of all, they never stop getting better when far too frequently it becomes their destiny. Similarly, your fear can push you toward your goals when you recognize its role as a catalyst. So we talked about that earlier. So perceived risk is a catalyst for growth. Your fear of losing it is a role playing out. Facing your fears also builds resilience. Each time you confront what scares you, you prove to yourself that you're capable of handling more than you thought. Fear shrinks in the face of action. The first step might feel terrifying, but each subsequent step becomes easier. Over time, what once seemed insurmountable becomes manageable. This process doesn't just help you achieve your goals, it transforms you. It strengthens your confidence, expands your comfort zone, and prepares you to tackle even greater challenges in the future. It's also important to distinguish between healthy fear and irrational fear. Healthy fear protects you. It warns you of genuine dangers and helps you make thoughtful decisions. But irrational fear, the kind that whispers, "You're not good enough," or "You'll never make it," is rooted in self-doubt and limiting beliefs. These fears are illusions built on stories you've internalized over time. Recognizing these false narratives allows you to challenge and rewrite them. When you do, you free yourself to pursue your desires without being held back by unfounded fears. Fear also calls for balance. While it reflects your desires, it shouldn't dictate your actions. It's a signal, not a command. Use it as information, not as a force that controls you. Learn to discern when fear is nudging you toward growth versus when it's keeping you stuck in avoidance. When fear arises, take a moment to pause, breathe, and reflect. What does this fear want to teach you? What steps can you take to move forward despite it? In doing so, you take control of your narrative, shaping your life with intention rather than letting fear lead the way. The relationship between fear and desire is one of the most profound truths about the human experience. Fear doesn't arise in the absence of passion or purpose. It's intertwined with them. It is a compass pointing you toward what matters most. By embracing fear as a reflection of your deepest desires, you open the door to personal growth, self-discovery, and fulfillment. In conclusion, fear is not something to avoid or suppress. It's a guide, a teacher, and a mirror of your values and aspirations. When you view fear through this lens, it loses its power to intimidate and becomes a powerful ally in your journey. Face it, learn from it, and let it lead you to the life you truly desire. Every fear you overcome is a step closer to the person you're meant to become. Faith is a powerful force that transcends fear, allowing us to navigate life's uncertainties with courage and clarity. Fear is an inevitable part of the human experience, arising whenever we face the unknown, the unexpected, or the uncontrollable. Yet faith offers a pathway through fear, empowering us to act even when we cannot see the entire road ahead. It is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it, trusting in something greater than ourselves. Faith begins with a belief in possibility. Fear often narrows our perspective, convincing us that the worst-case scenario is inevitable. It traps us in a loop of doubt and hesitation, robbing us of the ability to see potential solutions or outcomes. Faith, however, expands our vision. It reminds us that life is filled with infinite possibilities and that no single moment or challenge defines our future. Faith whispers, this is not the end. And with that assurance, we find the strength to take the next step. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but faith thrives in trust. At its core, faith is an acknowledgement that we cannot control everything, and that's okay. It is the willingness to surrender to the flow of life, to believe that there is a purpose even in the struggles we face. This trust doesn't mean passivity or blind optimism. Rather, it's a grounded confidence that there is meaning to be found in every experience. Faith shifts our focus from what we lack to what we can learn, from what could go wrong to what we can make right. When fear looms large, faith serves as a stabilizing force. Fear has a way of distorting reality, magnifying threats, and minimizing our ability to respond. In these moments, faith acts as an anchor, reminding us of our inner strength and resilience. It reconnects us to the truth that we have faced challenges before and emerged stronger. Faith says, "You are capable. You have what it takes." This assurance calms the storm within, enabling us to face external challenges with greater clarity and resolve. Faith also empowers us to act, even in the face of fear. Fear often paralyzes, convincing us to wait for perfect conditions or complete certainty before moving forward. Faith, however, encourages action. It reminds us that progress comes not from waiting for fear to disappear, but from taking steps in spite of it. Each action we take, no matter how small, builds momentum, and with momentum comes confidence. As we realize that we are capable of handling more than we imagined. Importantly, faith isn't limited to belief in a higher power or spiritual framework. While for many faith is deeply rooted in spirituality, it can also be a belief in oneself, in the goodness of others, or in the inevitability of growth. Faith in yourself means trusting your ability to adapt, learn, and persevere. Faith in others means believing in the power of connection and collaboration. And faith in growth means understanding that every setback is an opportunity to rise stronger and wiser. Fear and faith often coexist, but they lead us in opposite directions. Fear pulls us inward, isolating us from possibilities and paralyzing us with doubt. Faith, on the other hand, opens us outward, connecting us to hope, courage, and action. When fear tells us to retreat, faith encourages us to move forward. It reminds us that the only way out of fear is through it, and that on the other side lies growth and transformation. One of the most beautiful aspects of faith is its ability to cultivate resilience. Fear can leave us feeling fragile, as though a single misstep could lead to ruin. Faith, however, reinforces our sense of stability and purpose. It reminds us that challenges are temporary and that our true essence is unshaken by external circumstances. This resilience allows us to bounce back from setbacks, to keep going even when the path is unclear, and to trust that we are being guided toward something meaningful. Faith also transforms the way we view fear itself. Instead of seeing fear as a barrier, faith helps us recognize it as an invitation to grow. Fear points to the edges of our comfort zones, the places where we have the most to learn and the greatest potential for expansion. Faith reframes fear as a signal that we are stepping into new territory, pursuing dreams, or confronting challenges that matter. In this way, faith turns fear from an enemy into an ally. Ultimately, faith transcends fear by anchoring us in hope, trust, and purpose. It doesn't eliminate fear, but it renders it powerless to control us. With faith, we can face life's uncertainties with courage and grace. We can move forward even when the way is unclear, trusting that each step will lead us closer to the person we are meant to become. In a world that often feels uncertain and overwhelming, faith is a profound gift. It reminds us that fear is a natural part of life, but not the defining part. Faith is the light that guides us through the darkness, the voice that says, "Keep going." It is the unshakable belief that no matter what we face, we have the strength to overcome it. And in that belief lies the power to transcend fear and embrace the fullness of life. Growth is something that everyone seeks in life, whether it's in personal development, career advancement, or relationships. However, growth is rarely achieved without stepping outside of what is familiar, comfortable, and predictable. The idea that growth lies beyond the comfort zone is a reminder that true personal and professional advancement requires taking risks, embracing challenges, and facing discomfort head on. It's in these moments of uncertainty and challenge that growth happens. Our comfort zone is the mental space in which we feel safe, secure, and in control. It is where we do things we are already familiar with and where we avoid situations that could provoke stress, fear, or failure. For many people, it's easy to remain within this safe, secure space because it feels good. It's natural to seek stability and avoid discomfort, but this tendency to stay within the confines of what is familiar often prevents individuals from experiencing their true potential. In the comfort zone, you're not forced to push your boundaries or question your capabilities. There's a sense of ease and predictability because everything follows a well-established routine. However, staying in this space of comfort means that you are limiting your opportunities for growth. The longer you remain within your comfort zone, the less likely you are to develop new skills, acquire new knowledge, or discover new passions. In essence, growth becomes stagnant. One of the first challenges when stepping out of your comfort zone is the fear of failure. People often equate stepping outside their comfort zones with failure because it involves trying something new or unknown. This fear can be paralyzing. However, failure isn't something to fear. It is something to embrace as an opportunity for learning and growth. It's essential to understand that failure is not the opposite of success, but rather a part of the journey to success. Every successful person has failed multiple times before achieving greatness, and each failure has taught them valuable lessons that contributed to their ultimate success. Stepping beyond your comfort zone also requires a certain level of resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity and remain persistent in the face of challenges. Without resilience, it's easy to give up when things get tough. However, it is in these tough moments when you feel overwhelmed or unsure that you experience the most personal growth. These moments teach you how to manage adversity, build mental toughness, and develop a mindset that allows you to keep moving forward even when the path isn't clear. The discomfort of growth is also an essential component of change. Growth requires change. And change is often uncomfortable. It may come in the form of new responsibilities at work, learning new skills, or trying to maintain healthier habits in your personal life. Change is a necessary part of life, yet it challenges us to let go of old patterns, habits, and ways of thinking. This can trigger resistance because humans are creatures of habit who prefer stability, but the discomfort of change forces us to adapt and evolve. It's also important to recognize that growth requires taking risks. Risks can come in many forms: personal, financial, emotional, or professional. Each type of risk involves stepping into the unknown, which often involves an element of fear. However, taking calculated risks can open doors to new opportunities that would have otherwise remained closed. These risks might involve starting a new business, pursuing an unconventional career path, or entering a new relationship. While the outcomes are uncertain, the experiences and lessons learned from taking those risks lead to immense personal growth. Additionally, pushing beyond the comfort zone helps to expand your worldview. When you expose yourself to new experiences, different perspectives, and unfamiliar environments, you gain insights and understanding that are impossible to achieve when you remain in a bubble of familiarity. This can be a transformative experience. Exposure to diversity in ideas, cultures, and lifestyles can shape your thinking, challenge your beliefs, and ultimately help you become a more well-rounded person. Personal growth in this sense is not only about improving individual skills, but also about broadening one's understanding of the world. It's important to acknowledge that growth is not always linear. There may be setbacks, mistakes, and periods of stagnation, but it's essential to keep pushing forward. The road to growth is often filled with ups and downs, but the key is persistence. The more you step outside of your comfort zone, the more you build the muscles necessary to continue growing and evolving. In the end, growth is not about achieving perfection or never facing challenges. It's about constantly evolving and learning from every experience. By leaving the comfort zone behind, you embrace the opportunity to become more than you were yesterday. It requires courage, vulnerability, and the willingness to face the unknown, but in doing so, you unlock your fullest potential and gain a deeper understanding of who you are and what you're capable of achieving. Growth lies beyond the comfort zone, and it is in the discomfort of the unknown that you discover the best version of yourself.